Hey guys, what's going on? It's Josh. Welcome back to the Montana CDL Manual for 2016. This is part 20. Yes, 20 videos. And during the last video, we had a question from the Test Your Knowledge section of the manual, which to me wasn't completely explained in the manual. It's implied, but it's not completely explained. Okay, so my question was, or actually it wasn't my question at all, but it was, what is the gross okay. How is gross combination weight rating different from gross combination weight? And to me, it didn't explain it clearly. But I did a little bit of Googling with my trusty iPhone and I found the answers. The gross combination weight rating is, and it should appear on a label in the inside of your power unit, and it's the maximum weight that your gross combination weight that it can be for the power unit and and whatever you're towing, your combination between your trailer and your power unit. Now, that's what it should, the maximum that it should be. The gross combination weight is what it actually is. So, that's that answer. I kind of thought that that's what that was, but I was like, I'm not really sure, so I feel like I should Google that. And I did, and that's what we found. Okay, so now if you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, this is a series of videos in which I've been studying the manual and it's very dry, so I needed some help. And Maggie, my beautiful girlfriend, said, well, why don't you make videos? I've been doing YouTube videos since '06, so I was like, okay, well, this is kind of whatever, but maybe it'll help you. I know it's helping me, so that's what we're doing. And my pants, or for, you know, you non-Vlogbrother fans, in the description box, you can find a link to the PDF form of this manual. If you want to follow along, I highly recommend it. You're going to find a link for a test website where you can go and take practice tests to help possibly or hopefully prepare you. You're going to find a link to a YouTube video for Ruby, a Wil-Trans instructor, and she takes us through the entire pre-trip inspection, which is incredibly helpful for me because she shows you all the different kinds, or shows you all the different parts of the truck and the trailer, which the combination vehicle, which helped me. Then you're going to find a link to each of the following: Allie Knight, Ellie, and the Crafty Trucker, which are Heather and Jason. All of these individuals have, and I have to say Maggie found all of them, but they've all inspired, supported, and offered answers to questions in their own way for myself and Maggie. So I'm grateful, and I'd be even more grateful if you'd go give them a shout out and say hey, and you probably enjoy their videos if you're watching this. Okay. So now what we're on is Section 4, Transporting Passengers Safely, and this is page 4-1. Now, I don't actually need to know this because I'm not going to have passengers. However, in the last video I was like, I don't know if I need to cover this, and Maggie's like, well, I think you might need to know it for the test. So we're going to cover it just in case. Section 4, Transporting Passengers Safely. This section covers vehicle inspection, loading, on the road, after-trip vehicle inspection, prohibited practices, use of brake door interlocks. Bus drivers must have a commercial driver license if they drive a vehicle designed to seat more than 16 or more persons, including the driver. Bus drivers must have a passenger endorsement on their commercial driver license. To get the endorsement, you must pass a knowledge test on sections 2 and 4 of this manual. If your bus has air brakes, you must also pass a knowledge test on Section 5. You must also pass the skills test required for the class of vehicle you drive. 4.1 Vehicle Inspection. Before driving your bus, you must be sure it's safe. You must review the inspection report made by the previous driver. Only if defects reported earlier have been certified as repaired or not needed to be repaired should you sign the previous driver's report. This is your certification that the defects reported earlier have been fixed. 4.1.1 Vehicle Systems. Make sure these things are in good working order before driving. Service brakes, including air hose couplings if your bus has a trailer or semi-trailer. Parking brake, steering mechanism, lights and reflectors. Tires. Front wheels must not have recapped or regrooved tires. Horn, windshield wiper or wipers. Rear vision mirror or mirrors. Coupling devices if present. Wheels and rims, emergency equipment. 4.1.2 Access doors and panels. As you check the outside of the bus, close any open emergency exits. Also close any open access panels for baggage, restroom service, engine, etc. before driving. 4.1.3 Bus interior. People sometimes damage unattended buses. Always check the interior of the bus before driving to ensure rider safety. Aisles and stairwells should always be clear. The following parts of your bus must be in safe working condition. Each handhold and railing, floor covering, signaling devices, including the restroom emergency buzzer if the bus has a restroom, emergency exit handles. The seats must be safe for riders. All seats must be securely fastened to the bus. Never drive with an open emergency exit door or window. The emergency exit sign on an emergency door must be clearly visible. If there's a red emergency door light, it must work. Turn it on at night or at any other time you use your outside lights. 4.1.4 Roof hatches. You may lock some emergency roof hatches in a partly open position for fresh air. Do not leave them open as a regular practice. Keep in mind the bus's higher clearance when driving with them open. Make sure your bus has the fire extinguisher and emergency reflectors required by law. The bus must also have spare electrical fuses unless equipped with circuit breakers. 4.1.5 Use your seatbelt. The driver's seat should have a seatbelt. Always use it for safety. 4.2 Loading and trip start. Do not allow riders to leave carry-on baggage in a doorway or aisle. There should be nothing in the aisle that might trip other riders. Secure baggage and freight in ways that avoid damage and allow the driver to move freely and easily. Allow riders to exit by any window or door in an emergency. Protect riders from injury if carry-ons fall or shift. 4.2.1 Hazardous materials. Watch for cargo or baggage containing hazardous materials. Most hazmats cannot be carried on a bus. The Federal Hazardous Materials Table shows which materials are hazardous. They pose a risk to health, safety, and property during transportation. The rules require shippers to mark containers of hazmat with the material's name, identification number, and hazard label. There are 9 different 4-inch diamond-shaped hazard labels. See Figure 4.1. Watch for the diamond-shaped labels. Do not transport any hazard material unless you are sure the rules allow it. Alright, and then 4.1 is here. Not sure if you can see that or not, but we tried. 4.2.2 Forbidden hazardous materials. Buses may carry small arms ammunition labeled ORM/D, emergency hospital supplies and drugs. You can carry small amounts of some other hazmats if the shipper cannot send them any other way. Buses must never carry Division 2.3 poison gas, liquid Class 6 poison, tear gas, irritating material. More than 100 pounds of solid Class 6 poisons. Explosives in the space occupied by people except small arms ammunition. Labeled radioactive materials in the space occupied by people. More than 500 pounds total of allowed hazardous materials and no more than 100 pounds of any one class. Riders sometimes board a bus with an unlabeled hazmat. Do not allow riders to carry on common hazards such as car batteries or gasoline. 4.2.3 Standee line. No rider may stand forward of the rear of the driver's seat. Buses designed to allow standing must have a 2-inch line on the floor or some other means of showing riders where they cannot stand. This is called the standee line. All standing riders must stay behind it. 4.2.4 At your destination. When arriving at the destination or intermediate stops, announce the location, reason for stopping, next departure time, and bus number. Remind riders to take carry-ons with them if they get off the bus. If the aisle is in a lower level than the seats, remind riders of the step down. It's best to tell them before coming to a complete stop. Charter bus drivers should not allow riders on the bus until departure time. This will help prevent theft or vandalism of the bus. 4.3 On the road. 4.3.1 Passenger supervision. Many charter and intercity carriers have passenger comfort and safety rules. Mention the rules about smoking, drinking, or use of radio and tape players at the start of the trip. Explaining the rules at the start will help to avoid trouble later on. When driving, scan the interior of your bus as well as the road ahead, to the sides, and to the rear. You may have to remind riders about the rules or to keep arms and heads inside the bus. 4.3.2 At stops. Riders can stumble when getting on or off, and when the bus starts or stops. Caution riders to watch their step when leaving the bus, wait for them to sit down or brace themselves before starting. Starting and stopping should be as smooth as possible to avoid rider injury. Occasionally, you may have a drunk or disruptive rider. You must ensure this rider's safety as well as that of others. Don't discharge such riders where it would be unsafe for them. It may be safer at the next scheduled stop or a well-lighted area where there are other people. Many carriers have guidelines for handling disruptive riders. 4.3.3 Common accidents. The most common bus accidents. Bus accidents often happen at intersections. Use caution even if a signal or stop sign controls other traffic. School and mass transit buses sometimes scrape off mirrors or hit passing vehicles when pulling out from a bus stop. Remember the clearance your bus needs and watch for poles and tree limbs at stops. Know the size of the gap your bus needs to accelerate and merge with traffic. Wait for the gap to open before leaving the stop. Never assume other drivers will brake or give you room when you signal or start to pull out. 4.3.4 Speed on curves. Crashes on curves that kill people and destroy buses result from excessive speed, often when rain or snow has made the road slippery. Every banked curve has a safe design speed. In good weather, that posted speed is safe for cars, but it may be too high for many buses. With good traction, the bus may roll over. With poor traction, it might slide off the curve. Reduce speed for curves. If your bus leans toward the outside on a banked curve, you are driving too fast. 4.3.5 Railroad highway crossing stops. Stop at railroad crossings. Stop your bus between 15 and 50 feet before railroad crossings. Listen and look in both directions for trains. You should open your forward door if it improves your ability to see or hear an approaching train. Before crossing, after a train has passed, make sure there isn't another train coming in the other direction on other tracks. If your bus has a manual transmission, never change gears when crossing the tracks. You do not have to stop, but must slow down and carefully check for other vehicles at streetcar crossings, where a policeman or flagman is directing traffic. If a traffic signal is green, at crossings marked as exempt or abandoned. 4.3.6 Drawbridges. Stop at drawbridges. Stop at drawbridges that do not have a signal light or traffic control attendant. Stop at least 50 feet before the draw of the bridge. Look to make sure the draw is completely closed before crossing. You do not need to stop, but must slow down and make sure it's safe when there is a traffic light showing green. The bridge has an attendant or traffic officer who controls traffic whenever the bridge opens. 4.4 After-trip vehicle inspection. Inspect your bus at the end of each shift. If you work for an interstate carrier, you must complete a written inspection report for each bus driven. The report must specify each bus and list any defect that would affect safety or result in a breakdown. If there are no defects, the report should say so. Riders sometimes damage safety-related parts such as handholds, seats, emergency exits, and windows. If you report this damage at the end of a shift, mechanics can make repairs before the bus goes out again. Mass transit drivers should also make sure passenger signaling devices and brake door interlocks work properly. 4.5 Prohibited practices. Avoid fueling your bus with riders on board unless absolutely necessary. Never refuel in a closed building with riders on board. Don't talk with riders or engage in any other distracting activity while driving. Do not tow or push a disabled bus with riders aboard the vehicle, unless getting off would be unsafe. Only tow or push the bus to the nearest safe spot to discharge passengers. Follow your employees' guidelines on towing or pushing disabled buses. 4.6. Use of brake door interlocks. Urban mass transit coaches may have a brake and accelerator interlock system. The interlock applies the brakes and holds the throttle in idle position when the rear door is open. The interlock releases when you close the rear door. Do not use this safety feature in place of the parking brake. Okay, so that's this section. Now there's a section for test your knowledge. After we're done with this, we're going to end this video and move on to the next video because I'm going to keep this one separate. Number 1, name some things to check in the interior of a bus during a vehicle inspection. All of the safety and emergency things like handholds, seats, doors, lights, emergency exits, emergency equipment. I think that's it. I'll go double check. Vehicle inspection. Okay. Vehicle systems, mirrors, like windshield wipers, like horn, all of that kind of stuff. And then access doors and panels, bus interior, each handhold and railing. Oh yeah, this is what we're talking about. Interior of a bus, yeah, okay. People sometimes damage unattended buses. Always check the interior of the bus before driving to ensure rider safety. Aisles and stairwells should always be clear. The following parts of your bus must be in safe working condition. Each handhold and railing, floor covering, signaling devices, including the restroom emergency buzzer if the bus has a restroom, emergency exit handles. The seats must be safe for riders and securely fastened to the bus. Never drive with an open emergency exit door or window. The emergency exit sign on an emergency door must be clearly visible. If there's a red emergency door light, it must work. Turn it on at night or any other time you use your outside lights. Okay. Question number 2. What are some hazardous materials you can transport by bus? I feel like it was like small arms ammunition. I feel like I don't know.
Small amounts of hazmat things if there's no other way for them to get there.
Can you take the test for me?
No.
Pretty sure that's not legal.
And then first aid stuff and medications.
I'm going back to look for the exact verbiage. What are some hazardous materials you can transport by bus? Buses may carry small arms ammunition labeled ORM-D, emergency hospital supplies, and drugs. You can carry small amounts of some other hazardous materials if the shipper cannot send them in any other way.
I was totally right.
You were totally right. What is a standee line? That's number 4. That's the line at the front of the bus that passengers aren't supposed to cross while the bus is in motion. It's usually 2 inches wide, and sometimes it's indicated in another way, like lights or I think a separate level of the flooring. But basically, you don't want passengers standing in front of that. Standee line. This is 4.2.3. No rider may stand forward of the rear of the driver's seat. Buses designed to allow standing must have a 2-inch line on the floor or some other means of showing riders where they cannot stand. This is called the standee line. All standing riders must stay behind it. Alright, number 5. Does it matter where you make a disruptive passenger get off the bus? Yeah, it does. You should only do so in a place where it's safe, such as possibly the next stop, or a place where there's people.
Well lit.
Yeah. Wait, did it say well lit?
Yeah.
Passenger supervision. Occasionally, you may have a drunk or disruptive rider. You must ensure this rider's safety as well as that of others. Don't discharge such riders where it would be unsafe for them. It may be safer at the next scheduled stop or a well-lighted area where there are other people. Many carriers have guidelines for handling disruptive riders. That was good, you knew. How far from a railroad crossing should you stop? Between 15 and 50 feet. That was number 6. Number 7. When must you stop before crossing a drawbridge? I feel like you're always supposed to stop. I don't think it was 50 feet. I thought it was like a 9. It wouldn't be 9. I can't remember. Let's go look. Drawbridges. Oh, it was 50 feet. Okay, 4.3.6. Stop at drawbridges that do not have a signal light or traffic control attendant. Stop at least 50 feet before the draw of the bridge. Look to make sure the draw is completely closed before crossing. You do not need to stop, but must slow down and make sure it's safe when there's a traffic light showing green, or the bridge has an attendant or traffic officer who controls traffic whenever the bridge opens. Question number 8. Describe from memory the prohibited practices listed in the manual. Prohibited practices? One of them was don't talk to the, okay, don't there's a list of hazmats that you can't carry. Although I don't remember what they are. You're not supposed to talk to riders or engage in disruptive behavior. And that's all I can think of. Let's go back and look. Prohibited practices. Oh, crap. Damn it, Katie. Avoid fueling your bus with riders on board unless absolutely necessary. Never refuel in a closed building with riders on board. Don't talk with riders or engage in any other distracting activity while driving. Do not tow or push a disabled bus with riders aboard the vehicle unless getting off would be unsafe. Only tow or push the bus to the nearest safe spot to discharge passengers. Follow your employer's guideline on towing or pushing disabled buses. Okay. Number 9. The rear door of a transit bus has to be open to put on the parking brake. True or false? False. There's sometimes an interlocking thing. I forget what it's exactly called. It's interlocking something that puts on a brake when the rear door of the bus is open, but that shouldn't be used in place of a parking brake. And okay, 4.6, use of brake door interlocks. Urban mass transit coaches may have a brake and accelerator interlock system. The interlock applies the brake and holds the throttle in idle position when the rear door is open. The interlock releases when you close the rear door. Do not use this safety feature in place of the parking brake. And these questions may be on your test. If you can't answer them all, reread section 4. Well, I'm not going to be dealing with buses, so I'm not going to reread section 4 right now, but that section was definitely harder for me. Okay, so I'm going to end this video, and we will see you back for part 21 in a few minutes. Thanks for watching, guys.